Welcome to lesson 2, where we will be speaking about content creation. In this lesson, we're going to touch on several different topics related to content, especially when we define what is content and what are the different types. As well, we want to kind of dive into each type by looking at what content is or qualifies as visual and what kind of tools you might be able to access in order to be able to do this in a very simplified way that could be accessible to everyone. Also, we want to look at content programming tools, which allow you to directly go on and schedule content and have it come out in the specific times when you feel that it may be very successful. Now, as a general introduction to content creation, we always like to go in and give the statement that we hear so much when it comes to social media presence, and especially the type of contents that you're putting out. Now, there is a phrase that content is king, and never has this been truer in an age when you have everybody competing to be seen, to receive likes, to receive comments, and just to be relevant in general. So when we're talking about content being king, we're going straight into the quality of this content, which isn't necessarily to mean that if it's a video, it's going to be recorded with a super professional high-tech camera and that you're going to do so in a studio, or the same thing even for a podcast. When we're talking about the quality of the content, while quality as in what is perceived, meaning the visuals or the sound of this content, we're talking more about the substance of the actual content itself and how useful it could prove to be to the reader or the listeners or the viewers. Now, while we tend to talk when it comes to content, and even as I've started this lesson, in terms of video and quality, it needs to be said that it's not just videos and sound. It could also be the quality of an image or the quality of a design or the quality of your message. And that's what we mean when we're talking about content being king. You should be developing things that grab the attention of your target audience, that send a clear, precise, and concise message from the start in order to capture them, and which consistently does this throughout the actual content itself, meaning that it becomes almost a source of information for those who are being attentive to your posts. Now, to take a step back and look at objectively what is content. Content is basically any information or material that is created and shared on the internet. This means that content could be as simple as only some text that you share to your immediate networks, or a full-on video that you've developed conveying several messages put out there by you. But then again, it could also be articles generated by other media, simply that convey messages that you agree with or that you disagree with. And we'll talk about how to combine several types of content in order to be able to do this. Or it could just be a video that strongly expresses views that, again, you could or be in agreement of, or perhaps not. So we start off with what is the simplest form of content out there, and it's just going to be text. Normally we see status updates, we see small paragraphs, perhaps a little bit of storytelling in there where we're conveying a funny situation that might have happened, or perhaps something serious that we want to go into detail in, and be able to have our readers simply have the full story. Text, however, can be a little bit drawn out. Not everybody is not visual in this sense. So you do have to watch out and really know your target audience. And if they appreciate this, and this is definitely going to be a very easy and very cool way for you to give useful information to them. However, if they are more visual, there are ways of pairing text content with some visual elements, which would help to grab their attention or to just make it more of an easy read as well. This could depend on the size of the actual message. Another form and very popular form of content is images. They do say, after all, that an image says 1,000 words. And this is really true in social media, specifically when you're building a personal brand and perhaps there's an aesthetic or perhaps there's a very strong message that you wish to send. Sometimes an image can tell all the words that you might want to write, but perhaps cannot or would rather not. There are ways of as well of pairing, as I've said, images and text, and that is also a great form. But for the sake of defining this, let's just focus on the fact that images can be great content for your social media and they can be big attention grabbers. So what are images normally good for? We like to sort of stand out the fact that you are able to tell a story or to evoke an emotion. Now, evoking emotions can be very effective depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to position yourself and let people know a little bit more about what moves you, or if you're selling some type of product, something that you've developed, and there's a feeling or there's a human aspect to that. Sometimes an image might be a great way to convey that the brand wants to convey. Videos are here to rule the internet at this point. About 90% of the content that we're consuming on social media has to do with videos or are directly videos. Even some platforms such as Instagram have now pivoted in order to go from images to actually being able to host videos in what we know as Reels. Now, this type of content is super effective for several reasons. It gives you a set amount of time in which you are able to send a good, precise, and concise message. As well, people are able to get to know you. On the marketing side, and you will see this when we speak of content marketing further down the line, it's a great way to identify trends or to jump onto existing trends and be able to make more people view your content. Audio content, well, it could be very niche, meaning that it could be very made for a specific type of people. This could be very well your target group. It depends on what you're using social media for. But audio could be podcasts, it could be music, which is an amazing way of developing a brand statement. You could as well, like some people have an aesthetic, meaning something visual. Other people could actually have a music aesthetic. There is such a branch of marketing where music is part of the brand, in fact, an essential part of the brand for some clothing stores, for example, who wish to market themselves to either younger audiences or to alternative audiences. Music is a very powerful tool. And this is also audio content as well. Other types of sound content that can be used to engage your audience and convey any messages would qualify as this type of content. Now, as I said, in the marketing and the actual marketing of places and several stores, audio is used as a way to bring in the audience or the shoppers, let's say, at a mall, in order to engage them through this sound that speaks to them, because music can be the voice of a generation and it could help to single them out as well. But audio mainly can be used to share information in the form of podcasts. It's also a great storytelling tool. And this could very much aid the becoming a thought leader aspect of building your social and digital presence, because it is a very important element that will allow you to convey direct messages. If video is not your go-to, then this is sort of a second grade alternative. Infographics. Now, we wanted to single this out because while it is technically an image that you are putting out there, infographics can be a great way to establish what your the need that you're actually covering, or what is the gap that you are looking to bridge and where is it coming from. It could be a great tool if you're trying to put statistics into context for people to be able to understand, or it could just be an amazing and fun way to let people know what your plan is, or perhaps where your brand plans to take them. Interactive content is an amazing tool in order to engage with your audience directly. You may have perhaps been scrolling through Facebook or have been scrolling through Instagram stories, and you may have found already a small quiz or an open question that some of your friends may have asked, or even a poll. This is a great way to just get people's opinions. In the marketing sense, it could be a great way to put ideas out there and see how people feel about them as well. And we will talk about this in upcoming lessons regarding social media. Whenever anybody interacts with you in social media, there is such a thing known as an algorithm. Now, an algorithm is basically a set of code or coding, which when you receive certain types of interaction, decides that your content is being liked and commented on. It decides that it is relevant and that it is good content. Therefore, it's actually going to go ahead and show it to more people, because just because you put it on social media, it's not always going to be shown to everyone. In fact, the ratio is about 3 to 5% of your audience that will automatically see your posts. So interactive content can be a great way to up that number. And that's a trick of the trade right there. So one thing that we want to as well make sure that you're aware of, that you don't have to do just one form of content. You can always mix and match content. In fact, when you're posting videos that you haven't developed, when you're posting articles that you haven't written, adding text on top of that link that you'll be sharing is going to be a great way to convey to people how you feel about that content. As we were telling you before, you could either be posting something that you strongly agree with or that you strongly disagree with, but want to make your opinion known. This can be a great way of taking people on the journey that is your personal brand, because you are giving them external content. However, you're not missing the opportunity of telling them where you stand in regards to this. So now we want to take you into what visual content development tools are, because of course we've been talking about videos, we've been talking about images, and possibly a little bit about graphic design. And we may be sitting there saying, well, I'm not a videographer and I'm not a graphic designer. But the good thing is that you do not need to be, you don't need to be any of these things. There's actually super easy to use tools which have a lot of free resources for you to get started on that journey. And who knows, these could be tools that help you develop this skill and help you find a new facet of yourself. So while it is true that substance is going to be 90% of your content, we do have to admit that that other 10% that remains is going to be the attention grabbing part that grabs people initially and brings them in and engages them with you. So it's super important that you are able to develop things that are able to allow you to do this. The main tool, the most popular tool of them all right now, is going to be Canva. Canva is a free online-based tool. You don't have to download absolutely anything in order to work with this, and it's very intuitive. It's actually going to allow you to do things such as work from a blank slate and build things up as you want them, or if you want a little bit of an easier start, it will actually allow you to choose templates and work on top of those. And the beautiful thing about Canva is that there's just not one template. Canva has recognized that people do a whole bunch of things that require visual elements. So they'll give you templates for social media posts, depending on the social media platform that you actually want to post on. They'll give you the ability to have templates even for your CVs or even brochures, which is super exciting because that means that one tool can be very versatile and help you develop content for whatever it is that you need. We encourage you to go follow our lesson and go into the slide that allows you to view the Canva direct link, which you will be able to click, but as well, follow the steps, create your account and allow yourself 30 minutes, 40 minutes, perhaps an hour if you feel compelled to do this. but do test Canva out because we believe this is a great tool for you to start going into that journey of developing your personal brand visually. As well, follow our practical exercises and see what you come up with. Remember, at the end of each module, you'll be able to find a forum, and we look forward to perhaps you sharing the link of what you've done with us. So we've touched on previously what video content is and why it's important. However, we want to make sure that you fully understand why this is. Number one, people are looking more and more to their cell phones for entertainment, and they're not necessarily going into YouTube, which is one social media platform, but they're actually looking to Instagram and Facebook to be entertained. And video content is the way that they're looking to satisfy themselves. So video content is engaging. Video content is much more engaging, in fact, than text or even image-based. Why? Because they'll be able to feel out a full interaction. You'll be able to develop a full story that doesn't only speak in words and visuals, but also in your own non-formal way of communicating. Meaning, if you're the subject of the videos, people can very much feel identified even with the way that you react to certain things or your facial expressions when you're communicating. It can be a very powerful tool. Video content is shareable, which is very, very important. In fact, as we mentioned before, when people interact with your content, this is going to make you more relevant. And people tend to want to share more video content than text and or images, even though we must say that images can also be very powerful and very shareable. Video content is also memorable. Here, I want to do a little exercise with you. Think about the last time you saw a very funny reel. Perhaps you want to close your eyes while we do this. Think about having shared that reel with a friend and perhaps have brought it up in conversation again. That is a memorable reel. That is a memorable video. And that's really what you would want to do and want to develop and would want people to do with your content. This is a situation that you want to have happen. You want to create something that is memorable, that people identify with, and that they feel compelled to share. Why? Because it's all about the relevance that that's going to generate for you, but it's also going to be a way of doing mouth-to-mouth promotion of what you have to say as well. We can't close the video subject without letting you know that Canva actually has a great, and I do mean an amazing side to it, where it will allow you to create a video, it will allow you to edit them, and it will allow you to download that video in the format that you may need it. You could even establish things such as the quality of your video, and even add on templates, frames, and just do amazing things that are really going to help you visually define your personal brand around the content that you're already making useful within the video. Now, when it comes to content programming tools, here, the premise is that while everybody is on social media, not everybody is on at the same time or at the same time for the best reasons. Now, if you remember back to you when we were developing your personal brand, we spoke of identifying your target audience. Things that are super important to know about your target audience would be, what times do they tend to be online and what are they exactly doing at those times? This is great and useful data that you can actually get from social media itself, and we'll tell you about that a little bit down the line in our course. But for now, just be sure that you understand that you can actually use social media platforms in order to schedule the content to the times when it may get the most visualizations, when it may get the most likes. Now, the important thing is that through these content programming tools, which are actually built in straight into the social media themselves. So for example, Facebook and Instagram actually have a joint content programming tool as they're from the same company, meaning that from one place, you'll be actually able to schedule content in one platform and then the other. It's super important to get to know your audience in this way. And you could also do that by testing out several different posts at several different times and see what does better, what gets more likes, what gets more comments, hopefully what gets more shares. And then you can start establishing the chronological order or the time frames when you're going to start to program your content into in order for it to get the best chance at being seen.